Hi, and welcome to Spring Production Log number... This is our studio, and we currently have more people working on our film, which is great, because now it starts to, everything starts to gear up, and we are in the final production stages. It's about 10 weeks left. So what you can see here is a little look behind the scenes into our beautiful planning process of the production and how it's going to play out over the next couple of months. What you can see here is that we have all the artists that are currently working on the film accounted for. We are currently trying to push out a final scene rendered every week. So the opening is supposed to be done here, the forest scene, the second scene of the film, the third scene, like all of that happens over the course of the next 2 weeks. So let's actually check out my desk. Come to my desk. Hello. Should have prepared for this. No, it's broken. It's all falling apart. So since the last production log, things started to get a bit more serious. So shots had to be finalized, and that's kind of a diffuse term. So what does it mean that a shot is actually final? Well, it means that the lighting is done, that the animation is done, that all the props and the environments have been finished. So there's a lot of check marks you have to cross in order to call something final. For example, this shot here, where we have this very mysterious looking tree in the background, and it's moving, and oh my god, it's a foot. Spoilers. In all this shot, there's beautiful animation, of course, of the character, but also in the background there's all this stuff happening, and you can tell there's nothing. It doesn't really look that exciting. So stuff needs to be, dropping down on a lot of these shots. So a lot of tests with rigid body simulations that didn't work. More simulation. Then this is more close to final with some simulation, some particles, some animated rigged plants, and more plants. And we have a lot of these shots, so it means that not only you have to drop the shot in the farm for after you do the lighting pass, you also have to continuously update these things once the simulation has been done, once the smoke is getting there, all the particles are there. We have this this exciting scene where our main character, Spring, is facing this mysterious creature that's coming out of the clouds. And it is literally coming out of the clouds. And how do you do that? Well, you use smoke simulation, a lot of tests, a lot of runs of smoke simulation. How much is too much smoke? Shouldn't be looking like it's burning, all kinds of things. It's getting very unspecific right now, I'm sorry. There's just too much in my head right now.
At this point I'm lighting the stampede scene, so when everything goes wrong, basically. So yeah, it's my first sequence that I'm lighting from scratch. I think my first post on RenderCloud will be how I tackle this, I think. Because it's also good to note things down for myself, because I'm basically just starting out with this, and it's it's a learning process. Up to this point I've been mostly fixing the continuity errors that were there before. So I added some trees here, so the sunlight here is a little more consistent with the other shots. Same goes for these ones. These are just the old clouds still, so we're gonna replace those. And this is the second sequence where light is it was a little too clair obscur. There's too much focus on the same spot. And little continuity fixes between shots.
Starting with my first shot and suffering, but everything else is really fine. Now I'm working on sequence 08s, and I'm going to be doing that sequence, which is a procession sequence, where all the alphas are coming up from the valley. And I'm currently working on Spring the dog, and I have the alpha scene and I have the beta scene. So basically every character on the movie is in the shots, and they are going to be happily running. Well, Spring is going to be happily running up, Atom is going to be happily running up, and the alphas are going to be going up. I don't know if they're happy or not. As it is right now. I have to do some tweaks on the dog. He's going to be jumping and then looking a bit to the side and then like jumping again in the end. And the Spring is currently unblocking, but I think the alphas are pretty much done, or at least that's what I hope. So let's see what happens with it.
Oh, hello! Time is ticking down. Getting the perspective of how many weeks are left does things to people. Since we're handing so many shots over to the animators, it's useful to kind of make them low poly, at least for the viewport, so the frame rate doesn't go down to like 4 frames per second. I started just scattering all the usual stuff around, everything that we did to the previous sets, and tried to get them on the same level as the other riverbed sets as fast as possible. Here's the viewport comparison. And yeah, just went shot by shot. Okay, what do we need in each shot? What is in the foreground? What is in the background? And started adding all the stuff. Some of the shots that we already sent off to final rendering, I noticed, damn it, there's still some stuff that was to do. Like, for example, the staff. The branches on the staff are by default fully grown. I forgot to change the default pose, so we were sending all of these shots to the final renders without realizing that there's a bit of continuity issues still in there. So I started gathering some examples, like in which shots do we see it the most, and then I also realized like other little issues, like little twigs and objects missing. Fixed some issues, noticed more issues, so suddenly everywhere in the sets are these little continuity things popping up, little mistakes that we made, and also other things that we still had on the to-do. For example, objects being too shiny, so we made them a bit more rough, lots of material tweaks and stuff like that, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on.
Finishing sequence number 5, that is all the incident. Spring start to wake up all the animals, and yeah, something happened, and she lose control of the chime, and she also lose control of all the animals. So that's what's up. And Spring is here. Where is Spring? There, so small and tiny.
And a 3 and a 4. I have this scene where the alpha, this monster, kind of comes down creepily towards the girl, and she is defiantly coming up to him, and then there's a bit of interaction between them, and I need to figure out what's the alpha, like all these tentacle-esque things, what do they look like, how do they move and whatnot, and get the performance of the girl. And then the dog is sheepishly kind of backing away. With these monsters, they have these antennas, and these antennas have all these little chimes on it. We have that section kinda in a different rig, so the broader idea of what they look like and feel like and all that, that's done in the main rig. But then we have this extra rig that is specifically for all the small chimes, and so it's a little bit of a nightmare, but it's, you know, it has its pros and cons, because it means that I was able to go in there and put like very specific noise modifiers on every single one of them in different channels, and that way you have this variation going on. In some cases there's intersection, and then you have to go in and kind of clean it up a little bit, but good part about that is you could just take that animation data block and you can throw it onto other shots. There's a lot of hassle making it, but once you've made it, you can throw it into another shots, and you kind of get a good effect that is very consistent over all the shots.
Make sure you check out the Blender Cloud. We're really trying to push all our updates to the cloud every week, so you can see all the frames that are coming in. And if you want, you can even take a look behind the scenes where like Attract, which is our shot planning, is currently buzzing with activity. If you want to follow us, Make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and you go on the cloud, subscribe. Great. Now I can sign my brain off again and I can go back to work. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye. Say bye.
Bye.
Say bye.
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 Bye. Yeah. Until next time.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.